I gave my whole life to my husband and his family, sacrificing my independence to care for his ailing mother. But when I had to beg for $1,500 a month, feeling every word a humiliation, and my daughter's simple wish for cake depended on his grudging allowance, I realized I was utterly worthless in their eyes. Little did he know that quiet desperation was about to ignite a fire. The weight of an empty purse crushes a woman's spirit. Eleanor smoothed the faded floral fabric of her skirt, a nervous habit. The kitchen, usually her domain of quiet efficiency, felt vast and empty today. Outside, the midday sun, usually a comforting warmth, seemed to mock the chill that settled deep in her bones. For 6 long years, since David had insisted she quit her job, this house had been her world. And within this world, every request for money, even the meager $1,500 a month for household expenses, felt like a humiliating plea. David, her husband, would deliver the funds with a slow, deliberate hand, his gaze fixed on hers, making her feel as though he were bestowing an unimaginable fortune, not just covering bills. This morning, the digital silence from David's phone was deafening. She'd sent the message hours ago. "David, are you busy? It's time to transfer this month's living expenses?" No reply. Not even a simple read receipt. It just hung there in the chat, a stark symbol of her fading significance in his life. The bank app on her phone showed a stark, undeniable 0. A small hand tugged at her, gentle but persistent. Lily, her 5-year-old daughter, stood by the kitchen door, her eyes wide, reflecting a simple, innocent desire. "Mommy," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. "Can we get cake?" Lily bounced on the balls of her feet, an eager little bird. Eleanor's heart clenched, a sharp, bitter pang. This simple request, this small dream, suddenly felt like a mountain. Eleanor knelt, her knees aching from years of scrubbing floors and tending to a house that no longer felt entirely hers. She forced a smile, but it felt brittle. "Mommy doesn't have money right now, sweetie. Let's wait until Daddy sends it, okay?" Lily's bright eyes dimmed just a fraction, the spark of anticipation flickering out. She nodded, her small shoulders slumping, and stopped insisting. Her quiet understanding, her immediate resignation, cut deeper than any harsh word David or Beatrice had ever flung her way. This wasn't a family struggling. David's business was doing well. Their home, though not luxurious, was comfortable. They were far from poor. Yet, here they were. Lily's simple wish for cake, contingent on a transfer that might never come. On a generosity that felt increasingly begrudging. Why did her own daughter have to learn such careful deference, such a profound understanding of scarcity, just for a slice of cake? The injustice burned. Eleanor swallowed the lump in her throat. She retrieved her phone, her fingers hovering over David's contact. She had to try again. She softened her tone, trying to appeal to the father in him, if not the husband. "Honey, are you busy? If you're not, could you transfer this month's expenses when you have a moment? Lily really wants some cake, but I don't have the money." This time, mentioning Lily, the smallest and most innocent member of their household, seemed to penetrate his digital silence. A voice message notification popped up. A clipped, irritated tone, a brief, sharp bark. "Got it? Stop nagging. I'm busy." "Okay, I'll send it later." The words were an axe chop, devoid of warmth or concern. Just an order. She stood for a long moment, the phone still warm in her hand, the faint hum of his dismissive tone still buzzing in her ear. Resignation washed over her, heavy and cold. At least he'd acknowledged her. At least he'd promised. She moved to the counter, mechanically picking up the knife she'd dropped, resuming her dinner preparations. The kitchen, once her solace, now felt like a cage. The sizzle of onions in the pan, the comforting scent of garlic beginning to brown, filled the air, a mundane tableau. Then, a sudden horrifying sound shattered the domestic peace. It wasn't a cough. It was a wet, violent retching. Eleanor dropped the knife. Her blood ran cold. Lily, a high, desperate cry followed. Then the gurgling, unmistakable sound of diarrhea. Fear, raw and primal, clawed at Eleanor's throat. She raced to the living room. Lily lay crumpled on the rug, pale and shaking, the bright innocence drained from her face. Eleanor scooped her up, her mind already racing. Hospital. Now. She burst through the front door, the evening air hitting her face like a slap. Lily was limp in her arms, feverish and weak. The world narrowed to this one. Desperate need. She called a taxi, her voice trembling. As the driver pulled away, she fumbled for her phone. David. He still hadn't sent the money. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat of terror. She didn't even have enough for the taxi, let alone for medication. The hospital loomed, a beacon of hope and a mountain of impossible costs. Every second felt like an hour. The cab screeched to a halt outside the emergency room. The bright, sterile lights felt harsh after the dimness of the taxi. Inside, the cool, impersonal air of the hospital corridor offered no comfort. Lily was fading fast. Eleanor's mind screamed for action. She had to call him again. He had to pick up. He had to send the money. She wouldn't let Lily suffer because of his callousness. What happened next would push her to the brink. The phone vibrated in her trembling hand, a lifeline she prayed wouldn't snap. At the hospital reception, the nurse's voice was a soft, firm wall. "The doctor will see your daughter as soon as payment is processed, Ma'am." Eleanor's mind screamed. David still hadn't sent the money. Her bank account, a barren landscape, offered nothing. She couldn't even pay for Lily's medication, let alone the initial consultation. The hospital's sterile scent, usually a comfort, now felt oppressive, the fluorescent lights too bright, too cold. She clutched her phone, her fingers slick with sweat. Desperation, a raw, burning acid climbed her throat, overriding every last shred of pride. She had to call him again. He picked up on the third ring, a sharp, immediate snap. "Didn't I tell you I'm busy? What part of that don't you understand? You're like a debt collector. So annoying. I'll send the money when I have time. Stop bothering me." Then, a click. The line went dead. The dial tone buzzed, a cruel, mocking hum against her ear. Eleanor stood there, frozen. The phone still pressed to her face, its warmth a phantom limb against her skin. A wave of frustration, thick and suffocating, washed over her, followed by a profound, gut-wrenching helplessness. Tears, hot and silent, streamed down her cheeks, blurring the sterile white walls of the hospital. How had her life, once so full of vibrant promise, dwindled to this? Reduced to begging, dismissed with contempt, while her own child lay suffering, her needs unmet because of a man's petty control. It was a cold, brutal blow. She closed her eyes, and the past flickered. She remembered meeting David. It was at a mutual friend's barbecue, sunlight filtering through green leaves, laughter in the air. He was charming, ambitious, his eyes sparkling with a future they would build together. It had been love at first sight, a whirlwind romance that swept her off her feet. He was so eager, so full of plans. They married quickly, a celebration of youthful hope. Their new life began in his family home, a place he shared with his mother, Beatrice. Beatrice, once vibrant, had been wheelchair-bound for years, her body failing, her spirit turning sour. Her condition, a constant source of pain, had twisted her temper. She was a storm of complaints and criticisms, a never-ending torrent of demands. Housekeepers, no matter how patient or skilled, wouldn't last more than a few weeks under her relentless scrutiny. They'd quit, one after another, fleeing the toxic atmosphere. David, focused fiercely on his ascending career, had pulled Eleanor aside one evening, his hand warm and reassuring on hers. "Eleanor," he'd pleaded, his voice earnest, "my career is taking off. If you could Just quit your job? Be a full-time homemaker? You could manage the house, take care of my mother. I promise. If you do this, I'll hand over my entire salary, make you the true mistress of the household. We'll be a team. It sounded like a dream then. A chance to build a nest, to support the man she loved, to be the heart of their home. She had agreed. In the beginning, he kept his promises. Each month, his paycheck, full and untouched, would land in her hands. She managed the finances, the household, Beatrice's care, everything. She felt like a true partner. But slowly, subtly, things began to shift. First, the excuses started. He needed money for business entertainment, to maintain relationships with superiors, unexpected costs. Then one day, he simply took the salary card back. It's easier this way, honey. I'll just transfer your allowance. From then on, it was a few thousand each month for household expenses. At first, it was 4,000 or 5,000. Then a swift drop to 3. Eventually, it dwindled to a meager $1,500. Now, even that small allowance came with delays, with his cutting words, with the biting sting of his disdain. Like today. 2 messages, a child's sickness, and still, nothing. Without that $1,500, she was utterly powerless, unable to buy medicine for her own child. The humiliation was a physical ache. She swallowed her pride, picked up her phone, and called a friend, whispering a desperate plea for a few $100s to cover Lily's emergency. The air still felt heavy with his dismissive tone, a haunting echo of lost promises. Her immediate crisis was averted, but the quiet tension in her chest stretched taut, a thin wire waiting for the next snap. How had she allowed this gradual erosion of her worth, her agency? How did you untangle a life so meticulously woven into someone else's cruel design? Returning home with Lily, the house seemed to loom, a silent fortress of their control. Her heart thrummed with a nervous anticipation, knowing that a new battle awaited. Have you ever felt that sinking feeling, knowing a storm was brewing, and you were standing right in its path? The silence in the house was a fragile thing, about to shatter. The front door clicked shut behind Eleanor and Lily, a soft sound in the otherwise quiet house. Lily, exhausted, clung to Eleanor's leg. David wasn't home yet, but his mother, Beatrice, who had been napping all afternoon, seemed to possess a sixth sense for Eleanor's return. A piercing voice, sharp and cutting, sliced through the air from the back of the house. "You worthless woman! Where have you been? Get in here and take care of me." Eleanor's shoulders slumped. The exhaustion from the hospital, the constant worry, now met this familiar, relentless assault, swallowing the bitter taste that rose in her mouth. She helped Beatrice out of bed and into her wheelchair. The motion practiced, devoid of warmth. She wheeled her into the living room. Beatrice's eyes, narrowed and cold, scanned the room. "It's this late, and you haven't made dinner. What are you even doing? David will be home soon. Are you planning to starve him? All you do is lay around here. Honestly, I don't even know why my son married you." Her insults, honed over years, barely registered anymore. Eleanor had grown numb to them, a hollow shell absorbing the blows. She remembered when she first married David, how Beatrice's cruel words would send her running to him, tears streaming, begging him to intervene. But David, ever the diplomat, never truly stood up for her. He'd simply hold her, stroke her hair, whispering reassurances. "She's in a lot of pain because of her condition," he would explain, his voice gentle, almost pleading. "That's why she's irritable. Please try to be patient for my sake." And so, Eleanor had endured. Year after year, her patience stretched thinner, her spirit slowly eroded by a mother-in-law he refused to rein in, and a husband who refused to truly protect her. She had mistaken his softness for kindness, his inaction for understanding. David's key turned in the lock not long after. The familiar click sent a fresh wave of tension through the house. He walked in, briefcase in hand, oblivious to the emotional battlefield he was stepping into. At dinner, the usual stifling silence hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Eleanor pushed the food around her plate, trying to find the words. She had to ask, "Honey?" she began, her voice quiet, almost a whisper, hoping to make it less of a demand, more of a request. "Can you send me this month's living expenses? Now I'm out of money, and I need to buy groceries tomorrow." David's fork clattered against his plate. He looked up, a sarcastic sneer twisting his lips. "You women have it so easy. You don't even have to work. You just sit at home waiting for the men to bring in the money. Then, as soon as the month starts, you nag non-stop. Do you have any idea how hard I work to earn that money?" He said it as if she had chosen this life of dependence, as if she hadn't given up everything because he had begged her to. Beatrice, sensing an ally, chimed in, her voice dripping with self-righteousness. "Exactly. My son works so hard every day, and you're always pestering him for money. You think he's made of money? You should learn to spend less." Eleanor felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She tried to reason, her voice barely audible. "I've been budgeting as tightly as I can. $1,500 a month barely covers groceries, utilities, and Lily's snacks." David's hand slammed his plate down, a sharp, angry crack. "What do you mean 1,500 isn't enough? How much more do you want, you greedy woman?" Every word was a tiny shard of glass, each one stabbing deeper than the last. At first, she thought she could let it go, just endure it, like she always did. But then, Beatrice went too far. Beatrice picked at her food, a smug, satisfied look on her face, and muttered, "And that useless little girl of yours, why are you wasting money buying her cake? What's the point? You'd be better off saving that money to help my son." The words hung in the air, freezing Eleanor's breath. Lily. Her sweet, innocent Lily. The cake. That was it. The breaking point. Eleanor felt something snap inside her, a thread that had held her together for too long. A quiet storm was gathering, and it was about to unleash itself. Have you ever had a moment when a small, insignificant comment, after years of disrespect, ignited a fire you didn't know you had? "Enough!" The word exploded from Eleanor, shattering the quiet. The dinner table, once a place of simmering resentment, became a battleground. Eleanor, her hand still tingling from the impact of the plate she'd slammed upside down, felt a fire ignite inside her. Years of swallowed anger, of humiliation, of silent sacrifice erupted. Her voice, usually soft, now resonated with raw power. She turned to David, his face a mask of shock and disbelief. "You act like $1,500 is a fortune, like I'm asking for millions. You tell me not to nag you, but you never send the money unless I do. Do you know how humiliating it is to have to borrow money just to take Lily to the hospital?" Her finger trembled as she pointed it at him, her gaze unwavering. "David, I had a job once. I was independent. You're the one who begged me to quit, to stay home and care for your mother in our house. Do you think I wanted this? Do you think I enjoy relying on you?" Her gaze then snapped to Beatrice, who sat frozen, her usual sneer wiped clean. "And you?" Eleanor's voice dripped with the venom she'd suppressed for years. "You're always complaining about me spending your son's money. Have you ever thought about why I'm even here? If it weren't for you, do you think I'd have quit my job to become your nursemaid? Do you have any idea how much it would cost to hire someone to take care of you? A paralyzed old woman? $3,000 or $4,000 a month minimum. And here I am, doing it all for a measly $1,500. You should be grateful." A wave of cathartic relief washed over Eleanor, a freeing scream that had been trapped inside her for years. David and Beatrice, on the other hand, were livid. "Eleanor, have you lost your mind?" David shouted, his face contorted with rage. "No, David," Eleanor retorted, her voice clear and steady. "I've never been more clear-headed. From now on, I'm done. I'm done asking you for money. I'm done managing this house. I'm done caring for your mother. Lily, we'll take turns raising her. I'm not doing this alone anymore. Let's see how you manage without me holding everything together." Ignoring their sputtering protests and Beatrice's shrill complaints, Eleanor grabbed Lily's hand. Lily, wide-eyed but silent, followed her. As they walked towards Eleanor's bedroom, she expected Lily to be scared after her mother's sudden outburst. Instead, Lily's small hand squeezed hers, and she looked up, her eyes sparkling. "Mommy, you were amazing today." Eleanor froze for a moment, those simple words cutting deeper than any insult, validating years of silent pain. She knelt down, her voice softening. "But if I start working again, I might not have as much time to take care of you." "That's okay, Mommy," Lily chirped, a resilient spirit already shining through. "I'm already 5. My teachers will take care of me at school, and on weekends, I can take care of myself." Lily's unwavering understanding shattered Eleanor's last reserves. She pulled her daughter into a tight hug, tears streaming down her face, not of sorrow, but of fierce love and a blossoming resolve. The only good thing, the purest thing, to come out of her marriage to David was Lily, a bright, thoughtful, and loving little girl. That night, Eleanor made a silent, unshakable vow. She would never look back. She would no longer lift a finger for that house, for those 2 people. She thought David and Beatrice might last 3 days without her. She had greatly overestimated them. What happened that very night was just the beginning. How long do you think it takes for a life of silent suffering to finally explode into freedom? They crumbled faster than she ever imagined possible. It turned out, Eleanor had greatly overestimated David and Beatrice. They didn't even make it through the night. At precisely 10 o'clock, the soft click of her bedroom door opening pierced the quiet darkness. Eleanor, who had just managed to get Lily settled into a restless sleep, watched as David's silhouette appeared in the doorway. He looked awkward, a rare and telling sight, as he held out a crisp white check. His voice was hushed, almost hesitant. "Here's this month's money. Also, my mom had an accident. Can you go clean it up?" A cold, hard satisfaction settled in Eleanor's chest. The pampered man, accustomed to her silent efficiency, was utterly lost without her. Having a wheelchair-bound mother who relied on adult diapers for everything made it impossible for David to manage even one night without her. All those times she'd silently taken on the burden without complaint, he must have thought it was easy for her. He had never seen her work, only her results. Well, not anymore. His compliant, ever-obliging wife was gone for good. Eleanor didn't touch the check. She simply pushed it back into his hands with a gentle yet firm gesture. Her voice was steady, devoid of emotion. "Oh, I wouldn't dare take your money. Otherwise, you and your mother will just keep calling me useless. From now on, I'll get a job and earn my own money. As for this house, your mother, and everything else, you figure it out. I'm done." David's brow furrowed, his patience snapping. He snapped, "Come on, Eleanor, don't be so ungrateful. I'll add another $1,500 to this month's budget, $3,000. Just stop throwing a tantrum and go clean up after my mum." He pushed a new check, presumably for the larger amount, into her hand. Eleanor returned it to him again, untouched. David's face reddened, his jaw tightening. "If you keep this up, don't expect me to give you another cent." He spat, but his threat held no power. Eleanor had already made up her mind. Who needed his money anymore? She took a step toward him, then firmly shoved him back, guiding him towards the door. "Bye-bye." Fuming, David stormed out of the room, pacing the hallway, muttering curses under his breath. But he had no choice. He had to go clean up after Beatrice himself. Let him. The worst was yet to come for those 2. When Eleanor got up the next morning, the house was eerily quiet. David was already gone, probably off to work, escaping the domestic disaster. The moment Eleanor opened her bedroom door, Beatrice's shrill voice began, "You lazy woman. Sleeping in until now? Are you trying to starve me to death? Go make me breakfast." Eleanor laughed. It was a cold, sharp sound that echoed through the silence. "Beatrice," she said, her voice calm, almost leisurely. "Do you still think I'm the same daughter-in-law you can boss around? I made it clear to David yesterday I'm done. I won't take another penny from him. And I'm not taking care of you anymore. Whoever's mum you are, that's who needs to take care of you. But let's be honest. Do you really think your son, who's so used to being waited on hand and foot, has the patience to deal with you?" Beatrice's confident demeanor visibly faltered. She knew her son better than anyone. Her expression shifted quickly, her tone softening as she forced an awkward smile. "Now, Eleanor, don't be impulsive. Couples shouldn't be so petty about dividing responsibilities. David works hard to earn money, and it's only fair that you manage the house and care for the elderly. But of course, it's his fault for forgetting to give you the living expenses when he gets home. I'll make sure to give him a good scolding." Her sudden change of attitude wasn't satisfying. It was pathetic. For years, Eleanor had taken care of Beatrice without a single word of thanks. Now that Eleanor threatened to stop, Beatrice was all smiles and flattery. People like her, Eleanor realized, were truly shameless. Eleanor ignored her pleas. She walked into the kitchen, a space she'd spent years serving. She made breakfast, preparing just enough for Lily and herself. Beatrice sat nearby in her wheelchair, glaring at them with fury, her stomach audibly growling. Her face turned green with anger. "You cruel, heartless woman! Are you trying to starve me?" "Don't pin this on me," Eleanor replied calmly, taking a bite of her toast. "I told David last night I'm done taking care of you. He knew and still left you alone at home. If anyone's trying to starve you, it's your precious son, not me." After breakfast, Eleanor took Lily by the hand and left the house. If David wanted to keep claiming that she did nothing all day while he slaved away to earn money, let him handle everything without her for a while. Let's see how long he could last, taking care of his daughter, managing his mother, and keeping their home in order. The game had just begun. Have you ever found yourself reaching a point where you simply refuse to be taken advantage of anymore? His perfectly curated world was about to unravel. Eleanor walked into David's office building, the glass and steel facade gleaming in the morning sun. Inside, the lobby buzzed with the quiet hum of ambition, a stark contrast to the chaos she'd left behind at home. Lily, clutching her hand, looked up at the towering ceiling with wide, curious eyes, seemingly oblivious to the tension radiating from her mother. Eleanor felt a fierce surge of resolve. If David wanted to keep claiming she did nothing all day while he slaved away to earn money, then he could experience a taste of her daily life. Let him handle everything without her for a while. Let's see how long he could last, taking care of his daughter in this sterile, professional world. They navigated the polished hallways, the scent of expensive coffee mingling with recycled air. David's assistant, a young woman with a tight bun, looked up, surprise flickering across her face. Before she could utter a word, Eleanor led Lily straight to David's open office door. He sat behind his large, gleaming desk, engrossed in his computer screen. A picture of corporate efficiency. The moment he saw them, his face darkened. He didn't wait for an explanation, launching immediately into a hushed but angry tirade. "My mum just called and said you only made breakfast for yourself and Lily." Eleanor ignored his accusation. She met his glare calmly, her voice steady and clear, cutting through the office murmur. "I believe I made myself very clear last night. I'm not taking another dime from you, and I'm done taking care of your mum. Do you not understand plain words?" David, acutely conscious of his colleagues nearby, leaned forward, lowering his voice to a furious whisper. He couldn't hide his irritation, his perfect facade cracking under the pressure. "Then why are you here? Can't you see I'm busy? Oh, so only you get to be busy?" Eleanor retorted, a cool, challenging smile playing on her lips. "Let me tell you, David, I'm busy too. I'm busy looking for a job. Since we're heading toward an equal partnership marriage, It's only fair we share parenting duties equally. I don't owe you anything. I took care of Lily yesterday. Today, she's all yours." As if on cue, Lily, sensing her cue, let go of Eleanor's hand. She toddled over to David's desk, her small voice echoing with innocent sincerity. "Daddy, it's your turn to take care of me today. Mommy needs a break." David's face flushed a deep crimson, mortified. He glanced frantically at his office door, then back at Eleanor, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Eleanor, are you insane? What do you expect me to do? Bring a child to work? How does that look? That's your problem to figure out," Eleanor said firmly, shrugging off his attempt to grab her arm. She turned and walked out the door, the small, triumphant smile now more pronounced. The satisfaction of leaving him caught completely off guard, trapped in his own carefully constructed corporate world with a bewildered 5-year-old, was immense. The buzzing office, which moments ago had felt intimidating, now felt like a stage for her quiet victory. After leaving David's office, the air outside felt lighter, freer. Eleanor's stride was purposeful as she headed straight to a domestic staffing agency. Her qualifications weren't anything special on paper. Years as a full-time homemaker had left her out of touch with the professional world. At her age, a corporate job seemed unlikely to even consider her. But housekeeping, that was her forte. She knew how to run a household, how to care for another. To her surprise, she aced 2 interviews. Both agencies were impressed with her organizational skills, her calm demeanor, and her extensive experience in managing a home and caring for an elderly, difficult person. They assured her they'd contact her for trial assignments as soon as a suitable family needed help. Walking out of those interviews, the afternoon sun warm on her face, Eleanor felt a renewed sense of hope, a spark of independence she hadn't felt in years. If she was going to do housework anyway, she might as well do it for people who valued it. At least she'd earn her paycheck without enduring the indignity of being called lazy or useless. Just as she was brimming with this newfound optimism, a sharp, familiar ring cut through the hopeful silence. Her phone. It was Lily, and she was crying. A cold wave of dread washed over Eleanor, chilling her to the bone. What had that man done now? Lily's desperate cries pierced Eleanor's fragile optimism. Just as Eleanor was brimming with newfound hope, the sharp ring of her phone cut through the optimistic hum of the afternoon. It was Lily, and her small voice was choked with sobs. "What's wrong, sweetheart? Don't cry. Take your time and tell Mommy what happened." Eleanor's heart plummeted, a cold dread seizing her. Lily's sniffles and shaky words painted a horrifying picture. "Mommy? Daddy got yelled at by his boss because he brought me to work. Then Daddy threw me outside the office. There's no one here I know. I'm so scared." That bastard David had abandoned their daughter. He'd tossed her out like trash because he couldn't handle the consequences of his own actions. Eleanor's mind went blank with primal panic. She didn't pause for thought. She sprinted, her breath ragged, down the bustling street, scanning every face, every corner for her little girl. The city, usually a place of possibility, now felt like a vast, indifferent maze. When she finally spotted Lily, a tiny, lost figure huddled near a planter outside David's gleaming office building, Eleanor let out a shaky sigh of relief. Lily was safe, but her tear-streaked face, blotchy and swollen, shattered Eleanor's composure. Every instinct screamed to scoop her up, to hold her, to promise her the world. But Eleanor stopped herself. A chilling thought, sharp and clear, cut through her maternal instinct. If she gave in now, David would only use this tactic to manipulate her in the future. He would weaponize Lily's pain to drag Eleanor back into his suffocating web. No, this was a moment for a lesson. A powerful, unforgettable lesson. Calming herself, a cold, hard resolve settling in her gut, Eleanor dialed the police. "Hello, officer. I'd like to report a case of child abandonment. Could you please come immediately?" The mention of a young child left alone prompted a swift, urgent response. blue lights flashed within minutes, reflecting off the building's glass facade. 2 officers, a kind female officer and a stern male, arrived. The female officer knelt, her voice gentle, comforting Lily and slowly, patiently, calming her trembling body. Using Lily's tearful descriptions, they quickly identified David as her father. Moments later, the officers, Lily at their side, walked straight into David's office. He was caught completely off guard, his face draining of color as he looked up from his desk. "This is a misunderstanding," he stammered, sweat beading on his forehead. "How could I abandon my own daughter? She was just being naughty, so I left her outside to reflect for a bit." The female officer's voice was stern, cutting through David's pathetic excuse. "Naughty or not, sir, you cannot leave a child that young outside unattended. What if something dangerous had happened to her?" Sensing the perfect opening, Eleanor rushed in, tears welling in her eyes, her voice rising to a dramatic wail. "David, you BD! How could you leave Lily outside like that? What do you expect me to do? I've given you everything. I bore your child, raised her, and cared for your paralyzed mother, and you can't even give me $1,500 a month for living expenses." She spun to face the officers, her voice thick with feigned heartbreak. "Fine. He won't give me money? I went out to find a job myself. But I stepped away for just a little while, and he throws our daughter out like trash. She's your own daughter. Are you even human?" David's colleagues, drawn by the commotion, now had front-row seats to the unfolding drama. My outburst only fueled their interest, and they openly gathered to watch. David was panicking now, visibly sweating. "I didn't refuse to give you money. Stop making things up. Let's go home and talk about this." But Eleanor wasn't letting him off so easily. Right there, in front of everyone, she pulled out her phone, displaying screenshots of their past messages, her pleas for money, his impatient, disdainful replies. "Everyone, please judge for yourselves. Before I married him, I had a job and was financially independent, but he begged me to quit so I could take care of his paralyzed mother in our home. And now look at how he treats me." Her tearful accusations, combined with the undeniable evidence, struck a powerful chord. Sympathy for Eleanor quickly morphed into disgust for David. His colleagues, male and female alike, watched with expressions ranging from pity to outright disdain. Even his male co-workers looked embarrassed to share a workplace with someone like David. Visibly cornered, David lunged forward, trying to grab Eleanor's arm. She shrank back dramatically, hiding behind the female officer. Don't hit me. I'll stop, okay? Please don't hit me," she cried, feigning fear. The female officer immediately stepped in, shielding her. "Sir, not only did you abandon your child, but now you're trying to assault your wife. You'll need to come back to the station to give a full statement." And just like that, the final thread of David's carefully constructed professional life unraveled. Both he and Eleanor were escorted out, the stares of his stunned colleagues burning holes into his back. The humiliation was complete. What would happen when the doors of the police station closed behind them and there was no audience left to play for? Have you ever witnessed someone's public facade shatter, revealing the true person beneath? The police station hummed with a cold, unforgiving justice. David, his face pale and etched with shame, managed to secure his release from the station only after repeatedly promising the officers he would never abandon Lily again. The ride home was thick with unspoken tension, a suffocating silence that pressed down on them both. But the moment the front door of their house clicked shut behind them, his carefully contained rage exploded. "Eleanor, are you out of your mind? You barged into my office and caused a scene. Who do you think you are? If you cost me my job, how are you planning to survive?" Eleanor met his fury with a calm, unnerving defiance. "You don't have to worry about that. I'll have a job soon enough." His laugh was harsh, dismissive. "Oh, please. With your education and how long you've been out of the workforce, who would hire you? You're kidding yourself." She paused, letting his arrogance hang in the air. I've spent years running this household and taking care of you and your mother. My experience makes me more than qualified. Plenty of domestic staffing agencies would hire me." David scoffed, his eyes wide with disbelief. "You're talking about being a maid? That's your big plan? Do you even realize how humiliating that is?" Eleanor couldn't help but laugh, a sharp, cold sound. "What's humiliating about earning an honest living? At least when I work for someone else, they'll respect me and pay me fairly. As a maid, I'd make $7,000 a month. Compare that to the $1,500 you begrudgingly give me while treating me like dirt. I'd say it's a win for me." Before their argument could escalate further, Beatrice's impatient voice cut through the air from the living room. "David, stop fighting and make me some food. I haven't eaten all day." David waved a dismissive hand at Eleanor, taking a deep, calming breath. "Fine, I'm done arguing. Just go make dinner already. Mom and Lily are hungry." Eleanor was hungry too. She headed to the kitchen without another word. But when dinner was ready, she only placed 2 plates on the table, just enough for Lily and herself. David moved to serve himself, but Eleanor stopped him, her hand firm on his arm. "This is for Lily and me. If you and your mum want to eat, make your own." David's face twisted with anger. "Are you serious right now, Eleanor? Do you even want to keep this marriage going? Don't forget you're living in the house I bought. If you don't want to play nice, we can get divorced, and let's see where you'll live then." Eleanor let out a cold laugh. "Divorce threats? How predictable. Yes, you bought this house, but I've been with you for years, contributing with my time, labor, and sacrifices. You want to talk money? Fine. Let's talk money. Do you know how much a full-time caregiver costs these days? $5,000 a month. And if they have to care for someone disabled, it's even more. You've barely given me $3,000 a month for all these years, and that's if you even bother sending it on time. So let's settle accounts properly. Deduct my rent, and then pay me for the years I've spent taking care of your mom. Let's see who ends up owing who." David turned beet red, stammering, searching for a comeback he couldn't find. With no other options, he trudged to the kitchen and made some spaghetti for himself and Beatrice. The first bite Beatrice took, she spat out immediately. "This is disgusting, way too salty." She turned her eyes longingly to the lemon shrimp on Lily's plate, clearly wishing she could trade meals. But this was just the beginning. From that day forward, Eleanor refused to take responsibility for anything related to Beatrice or David. She cooked only for herself and Lily, washed only their clothes, leaving the rest to them. The house, once meticulously managed, quickly descended into chaos. Beatrice especially bore the brunt of it. There were days when she soiled herself and had no one to clean her up. She would scream and cry, lamenting that she might as well die. The mess, the constant complaints, pushed David to his breaking point. Finally, after weeks of enduring the consequences of his own neglect, he broke. The walls of his life were crumbling. Have you ever witnessed someone finally face the consequences of their own actions? David's carefully constructed world finally shattered. Beatrice's screams during his video conference were the final blow. He stood, tears streaming, voice ragged. "Eleanor, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'll send living expenses, raise it to $4,000. I stared at him, calm. $4,000? Who are you fooling? He stammered, then offered his entire paycheck. I laughed. Why not? I called out, loud enough for Beatrice to hear. I have a new job, live-in caregiver, starting tomorrow for $7,000 a month. David scoffed. Scam. No scam. Their mother's temper scared off others, but years with your mother gave me thick skin. Beatrice, wheeling herself in, paled. You're leaving. What about me? I met her gaze. Hire help. It'll cost $10,000 for someone with your personality. Your son only makes $5,000. Eating air, perhaps. David flushed. Get out. Pay rent or pack. Without flinching, I pulled out my phone, recorded a message for Miss Lucy. Okay, with live-in care, moving tomorrow. Her instant reply. Lifesaver, adding $500 more. Smirking, I hung up. See? Some appreciate my work. I packed our bags. Beatrice shrieked. Selfish. I'll sue. Sue me? I snapped. 6 years of insults? The court will side with an abusive, vile old woman? If you insult me again, I'll slap you so hard you'll think twice. My words left her speechless. I headed to the balcony for Lily's dolls. Out of nowhere, Beatrice screamed, hurling a mug. I'll kill you. I ducked. The mug flew out. My heart stopped. It struck David, collapsing him below. He was gone. Beatrice, the cause of his death, wailed. My son! It's your fault, you vile woman. I met her venom. Your son is dead because of you. The one who should have died is you. I walked away. Done. I inherited David's estate with Lily. Beatrice got a portion, and the house. But her final years were hellish. Greedy relatives preyed on her. Years later, Beatrice altered her will, leaving the house to Lily. After Beatrice's passing, I sold the house. We moved on. Her spite, in the end, brought justice. Sometimes the universe does favor those who seek their own freedom. What do you think? Have you ever had to fight for your own freedom and peace? Share your story in the comments below. Your voice matters, and we'd love to hear it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories of resilience.